Howdy, yokes. Ethan here. Before we get started today, we just want to let you know this episode is brought to you by Isaac Carlson. That's right, Watso Videos himself. Not only did he want to come talk to us about Hocus Pocus, but we're also on his podcast, Following Dreams, this week. A good old-fashioned crossover episode for you. You can find Following Dreams wherever podcasts are sold or given away for free. He interviewed Tyler and I about everything we do every day to make our dream work. It was super fun to do, and I'm sure it'll be even more fun to listen to. It's available wherever you get your podcast November 1st, 2019. So make sure to give it a listen. It'd mean the world to us if you do. And now on with our episode.
Howdy, yokes, and welcome back to Baconandeggsmedia. I'm Tyler Carlson.
And I'm Ethan Edgehill.
And today we're going back to our youth.
Or maybe we're just stealing the life force from a child.
So make your potion
And talk to your cat.
because today we're bringing you
Hocus Pocus. Air horn Norris in post.
High School Musical was directed by Kenny Ortega and released on not that day, but sometime in 1993,
Nope.
9,601 days ago.
That is the right
Did
day.
you say
Okay.
High School Musical?
Oh, well, that also was directed by Kenny Ortega, but
Heck yeah.
Hocus Pocus, which starts with the same letter, was directed by Kenny Ortega. Released July 16th, 1993. I want to reiterate that for those of you listening at home. July
Released
16th,
July 16th.
1993, 9,601 days ago on a $28 million budget. It made $39.5 million worldwide.
Can you say that number again audibly?
I made a $28 million budget, made $39.5 million worldwide. It has a accurate, if not generous, 33% critic rating on Rotten Tomatoes and a 71% sad audience rating on Rotten Tomatoes and absolutely no Metacritic score. This movie is so bad, it is not on Metacritic. But more importantly, we're joined this week by Disney's favorite fan. Thank you so much for joining the show once again, Isaac Carlson. Welcome back to Bacon and Eggs.
He was the voice that you heard chime in out of nowhere just a minute ago.
He's just only arrived.
I'm so glad that I can be able to come back and talk more about movies. Hocus Pocus, I know you guys are very critical of it. I think it's a fun romp, so I'm very excited to be able to talk
Please,
about
Isaac.
it.
No, you don't.
Anyway, we've got
for a second.
So just diving right into this whole thing. I've got a negative review, a professional negative review here from Gene Siskel. That's right, Gene Mother
Fortnite.
Siskel of Siskel and Ebert from the Chicago Tribune stepped down from his ivory tower to review this movie, and he said, and I quote, "Dreadful, period." End quote. Gene Siskel of At the
Fortnite.
Movies.
Well, in this case, Chicago Tribune. But yeah, that's what he said. I think it's a very apt description. But
So,
I've got to get a positive review.
Yes. Isaac, so you think this is... I'm just going to keep talking while Tyler's getting a positive review. You think this is a fun romp. I'm going to go ahead and hazard a guess that you saw this movie when you were young, when you were a niño, a little child.
This is one of those movies that I don't remember when I first saw it, so I assume that I saw it when I was young. I remember it as
So
the weird, like, witch movie that I remember seeing on Disney Channel. So, as someone who's coming from the perspective as just realized in the last few years, as I made videos about Hocus Pocus, that it was released into actual cinema, I consumed it as, I thought it was a DCOM. I thought it was a Disney Channel original movie.
I also thought it was a DCOM
especially
until today.
with Kenny Ortega as the director. With all of that, it's just like, yeah, this was made for TV. This is just a TV romp. And from that lens, growing up, this movie is a great Disney Channel original movie.
If you told me this was made for less than $1 million and originally premiered on Disney Channel. Well, I guess not less than $1 million because it did have some like star power in it. So if you told me it was made for $4 million and originally premiered on the Disney Channel, I wouldn't give it a much higher score. But I do want to tell you, this cost $6 million more to make in the year of our Lord 1993 than Schindler's List, weighing in at $22 million.
To be
also
fair,
released
Ethan,
in
whoa,
1993.
hold on, Ethan. To be fair, it does have considerably more color.
You know, in 1993, it's harder to shoot on black and white film than it was on color film. It's more expensive
Well,
to do that and process that.
I would say
Okay,
this
you
isn't
just-
Michael
you missed my
Eisner's
joke
best move. Is this the best move like Disney had to offer? No.
Is
but
this
it was-
$6 million better than Schindler's List? That is the high criteria that I have stacked up against this movie right now, because I am so shocked at how much this cost to make.
I mean-
They had
million-
to have paid Bette Midler $15 million to be in this thing.
See,
That's the only way I can see
thing
this.
is that, while I know this does not describe if a movie is good or not, but the investment has allowed them to grow a franchise of Halloween costumes. There's Walt Disney World shows that are focused on the reign of the Sanderson sisters. It's become its own entity. And
Oh, for
it's
sure.
amazing.
You can never say that Disney didn't make their money back on toys. Any Disney movie ever, like, I get it. They're better at that than anybody else, except for, like, maybe Star Wars did pretty well with the whole Kenner action figure thing. But, like, that is completely aside from this. Disney's always going to make their money back in toys. They are brilliant marketing with that, with the parks, with the stuff in the parks, with the stuff at the toy stores. Like, Disney is second to none in that regard.
And
for
listen,
sure.
I'll give it this credit. The costumes are iconic.
Yeah, it's one of those things that even on their sequel book, which released last year, that I made a video about, is that on the cover of that book, it's just the three sisters and it's just their silhouettes. Like, this is a Halloween like staple that you can recognize who these people are by the silhouettes. So from that alone, there was some intelligent creativity that was put into it. Now, I'm not saying this is like some amazing masterpiece of a movie, but I think it is fun to turn on if you're just going in for some fun Halloween candy eating fun.
Let's get the elephant out of the room here real quick.
All right.
Okay. Most movies that are considered Halloween movies, like, they're horror movies, right? Like, people, like, with the exception of, like, the Halloween franchise and a lot of other, like, Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, quintessential Halloween horror movies. It doesn't really matter when those movies come out or when they take place. They have been launched and kept into circulation by the Halloween catalog, by the Halloween season. They're part of that whole echelon.
Okay.
This movie, I cannot express how on Halloween this movie takes place. This movie takes place October the 31st, 1993, a date that had not yet happened when the movie was released. A date that would not happen for, like, 5 months or whatever. Mm-hmm. Why did this come out in July?
Why did it come out in July? Why did it come out at all? Listen,
So it can go direct
How
to
did this make
DVD
$39.5 million
Halloween.
in July?
Oh, that's a good point. That's a good point. The
Yeah.
direct to DVD for Halloween itself.
DVD.
Here's my question, Isaac. Do you honestly
That's
think...
such a psychotic way about thinking about when to release a movie. I'm sorry.
it absolutely is. But Isaac, do you genuinely think that this movie is, like, iconic because it's good? Because when I watched it, I was like, this is The Room. This is so bad that people like it because it's so bad. It's gotta be. There's no way that people are watching this movie.
Whoa. Hold on. This is way better than The Room. I don't love this movie by any means, but, like, there are people in this movie that know how to act.
I think that's kind of the frame of mind that I go into with this movie, is that you enjoy it for just how wacky and silly the whole idea is like some of the things, like riding instead of on a broomstick on a vacuum, the whole idea that like they're just trying to, like, suck youth. There's the whole weird thing about, like, the boy has to be a virgin. I don't understand why they go so hard on that throughout this entire movie, but that's just kind of a weird thing.
Because that's like a witchy thing, though.
I know, but, like, it just seems really weird when that's, like, it's supposed to be a family-friendly movie, and it's like, that's a much more, like, PG-13 thing to constantly be talking about.
Oh my
based on
god,
the
it comes up
audience.
so much.
Yeah.
I think what happened was
I don't know, but Woody calls Buzz Light Beer. Like I don't think that this is out of the realm of Pixar jokes at all.
Let's
I would say
get
it
one
is.
thing clear. Hold on, children. As long as we're going with adult
I think
themes,
Pixar would probably find a better way to frame it.
Oh,
but
I don't think so. Pixar named their two leads Woody and Buzz Lightyear. Okay, don't think for 1 second that Pixar didn't know that those were
The
sex
way you
toy
said that
names.
made it sound like they were a married couple, like Mr. and Mrs. Lightyear.
No,
or Mr.
they're-
and Mr. Lightyear.
They're sex toy names. That's all
Now
there is to
presenting
it.
Woody and Buzz Lightyear
For the first time.
as man and man.
Toy and toy. But I hate this movie. Let me be very clear that I
Things
hated
happening to
the
me.
experience of watching this. But I think what happened was Disney was like, no, we're definitely not doing Back to the Future. That's insane. And then it came out and they were like, yeah, we could do that. And they made this and they were like, this is as good as Back to the Future, right? And it's just straight up.
I'm really glad
not.
that you also got the Back to the Future vibes.
I got it big time because it was like, oh, this family-friendly thing where something weird about sex keeps coming up, and there's like this sort of.
But it's like part of the witchy thing, man. It's just ingrained in the whole mythology.
I have
I
no
don't
idea.
think
I'll
Disney
tell you this right
cares
now.
at all about the solid facts of like fantasy or the fairy tales that they adapt. I don't think they care at all. I
No,
think it
yeah,
was
they-
just
they
a very weird
chose-
choice.
Yeah, I think it was just a bad choice. They could have very easily been like, "Oh, it has to be a boy under 17."
Yeah,
and that
that's
could have been the
much
whole
more
thing.
common thing. That's what I would have done. I would have
Right.
never. I would have never brought up the word virgin.
And I know that like you're saying it's a witchy thing, Ethan. I cannot tell you when Hermione Granger loses her virginity. I have no idea. It's not brought up.
Okay,
once.
this is based
7
more.
books and a play.
This is based in more Wiccan fairy tale than Harry Potter is.
It's what?
This has more ties, especially to the Western tradition, but this has more basis and more ties in like Wiccan fairy tales than Harry Potter does. 100%.
Okay, I just want to bring up the point.
This is
that
more connected to the traditional realm of witches than Harry Potter is by the nth degree.
Okay, do you guys think it's funny? All right, going off of the idea of like, oh, this is like witches and rituals and all that stuff. But like right before the Sanderson sisters die, isn't it funny? Like when they start doing like the clicks and stuff towards like this angry mob, and the angry mob just gets more angry. Is that not an enjoyable moment? And you're just like, oh
No,
my
it's not
God.
enjoyable because they hang all three of them and you like watch them die on screen.
I mean-
I thought this is a family movie.
Hey, Clayton died. We got to see Clayton fall to his death. That's much more horrifying.
Wait, who's Clayton?
Oh, that's the villain from Tarzan who's like chopping the vines.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Wow. That was it. You
Yeah, you
pulled
had to
that
watch
one out of
Mufasa
nowhere.
die a year later.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. I'll give you those. I'll give you that Mufasa died, but that was a work of art. This was trash.
I think that I think that the virgin thing was one of the few things they got right about this movie.
Really?
What? Yeah, because it was a complete. Because I don't know what the hell happens in this movie. I haven't seen this movie since like
Oh,
I don't know,
Let me be clear.
2012.
I had not seen this movie.
Oh, that probably like distorts your perception that you're seeing it as okay, this is something that Disney created.
Wait, seeing it with fresh
No, I saw
eyes
this in
distorts
2000
my perception. I think y'all's perception is distorted.
Okay,
Mine
you're definitely right on that standpoint. Is that you came in
No,
it from
I didn't
the
see this as a
actual
kid.
standpoint. Okay,
From the
this
most
I
is
have
something
no,
that
I
should
have
be
no
good.
nostalgia about this whatsoever.
Oh yeah, there was no nostalgia.
But no, I think that the whole virgin thing was the one thing they got right. So I didn't know it was going to happen. I'm like, oh, they need a virgin to light the candle or whatever. That's the only way they're going to come back. And they walk into the house and it's like, oh, there's a jock kind of California dude and a pretty girl. I'm like, oh, she's gonna light the candle and then everybody's gonna come back and then he lights the candle and they come back and I'm like, pff, he's a virgin.
Yeah, 1993 me would have thought that was hilarious back when I was 1, but
I don't think it has to be a joke for the parents. This is the thing we've
Fortnite.
praised Disney for constantly, is that it's a joke for the parents and not just the kids.
yeah, but there's nothing wrong with being a virgin. Why would you laugh at him
I'm
for
not
that?
saying there is. I just like the fact that it was a little bit of a head fake. Because you can see where that's going and it didn't go there.
I guess I can understand your perspective a a little bit there, but
I can't.
I mean, I just didn't
I'm not
think it was
saying
that
it's not
funny.
stupid.
I just
I'm
thought
saying
the
that's one of the
Sanderson
few things
sisters
I
were
think they
way
did right.
funnier. Like, Just like,
God, I was
Mary is
watching
hilarious.
the Sanderson sisters. Maybe it's because we just spent so much time working on not working, I mean, hardly Shakespeare, but doing like the Shakespeare inspired things, that watching this and like hearing all the "thou shalt thee this such as hitherto for," it's just like,
I wanted
up.
more Macbeth and less The Crucible.
I just have
That's
so
the real
much
thing.
fun. Like I'm just thinking of all the
God,
funny parts.
I don't find
Which
I don't
one?
find the Sanderson sisters charming in the same way that like I don't find Betty White charming in The Proposal.
Interesting. Like, do
How
you
do you
guys
feel
like
about
the
Sweet
song?
Home Alabama though?
What'd you say?
No, I didn't like the song. I thought the song was stupid. It was also very clearly like the beats there were so similar to Back to the Future that I was like, man, you guys are really trying here. But
That's interesting that you keep thinking about Back to the Future. That's not something that I was thinking about, but I mean, he's got a very similar type of, I mean, even look to him. The main character does.
he plays Johnny Be
that
Good
scene.
there at the end. Yeah.
That scene in the gym with all the parents, or the city hall or whatever, with all the parents dancing is a beat for beat ripoff of Back to the Future. It is straight up a complete ripoff to the point where he like goes up and grabs the microphone to make an announcement.
Yeah.
Straight ripoff of Back to the. Go watch Back to the Future again, and you won't be able to unsee it.
Also, go watch Back to the Future because it's amazing.
Back to the Future's a much more fun romp than Hocus Pocus, but I would recommend Hocus Pocus on October 31st. So
I just wouldn't. Back to the Future is great. You can be Marty McFly for Halloween. There's a hoverboard.
Marty
there's a
McFly,
vest.
way better costume than Max Dennison.
100%.
But is Marty McFly a better costume than the Sanderson sisters?
Anytime,
I would argue
anytime that Bette Midler or SJP were on screen, I hurt a little bit.
Sarah Jessica Parker was the only one I liked.
I can't say, this is just a weird thing about me. Every time I try to say her name, my brain goes, Sarah Jessica Parker. And it's just like, I have to like mentally prepare to say her name because my brain's sitting there going, say Sarah Jessica Parker, say Sarah Jessica Parker. I'm like, Sarah's not a name, brain. Brain's like, Sarah.
Sarah Jessica Parker.
Sarah Jessica Parker. Sure.
Anyway, she was the only one I liked.
Okay. See, all right. So one point that you kind of discussed a little bit earlier was the idea that like Halloween movies are typically more like the horror genre. But again, I'm coming from the perspective of I'm not really into like horror or like scary type of stuff. I'm much more into like the spooky type of stuff. So the like Halloween movies that I watch are Nightmare Before Christmas, Twitches, Halloween Town, like the Disney Channel type of like movies are the ones that I enjoy.
I cannot express how much I would rather watch Halloween Town than this.
Calabar is a sick villain.
No, I wish I could. I agree with you 100%, Isaac. I wish I could point to this and be like, this is a good Halloween movie that doesn't scare my pants off.
Mm-hmm.
That I can point to it and be like, I want to watch this at Halloween instead of Friday the 13th 7 Freddy versus Jason.
Straight up, I could not show this to my niece. This would scare the crap out of her.
This movie is not scary in any way.
Yeah, but the zombie that comes up, that's costume scary.
Yeah, I can see that.
You know, so Isaac, like I wish, like Ethan was saying, I wish I could point to this and say this is a great Halloween movie and it's a great alternative to, you know, the scary movies that are traditionally watched on Halloween. I just feel like there is not a good Halloween movie, this included. I don't like this. I don't like Nightmare Before Christmas. I don't like Rocky Horror. Oh, Nightmare Before Christmas is trash, but that's
Have
for a
me
whole different...
on for next Halloween, boys.
Next
We'll talk some
Halloween.
Nightmare Before Christmas.
Listen, I'm sure there's an objective
You're
argument
going to
that
have
can
to
be
get
made.
into the long line of people that want to tell us to
Fortnite.
off about Nightmare Before
Yeah,
Christmas.
I'm sure there's an objective reason as to why Nightmare Before Christmas
Have
is
you seen
good.
the movie? Hey, Isaac, have you seen the movie Airplane?
No.
Okay, so there's this one scene on Airplane, or in the movie Airplane, where this lady is sitting in her seat on the plane screaming.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a whole line of people down the airplane, it shows past them, waiting in line to beat the crap out of her for screaming. And that is what it's like with Tyler and I in Nightmare Before Christmas. Is neither of us like that movie at all, and everybody we talk to is just like, all right, well, I'm just going to punch you in the face.
I mean,
But, like,
I'm
yeah,
not
so
one to
I don't-
punch
You're gonna
in
have
the
to get in a big
face
long
about
line of
opinions, but My short view is that I just feel like it captures a lot of the magic of short movies like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, those like old 60s animated.
I so wish that this was anywhere near as good as the claymation Christmas movies. That I could point to this as like against Rudolph, against the Year Without a Santa Claus, all of these, and be like, this is as good as those, but for Halloween. I wish anything was like that.
Okay, I mean, Hocus Pocus is not compared to that. I mean, that's the Nightmare Before Christmas, just to make sure everyone's clear. Hocus Pocus is like, it's farther down. But yeah, anyway.
But even if we compare, like, I'm trying to think of what Christmas movie is akin to this, and like the only thing that maybe comes to mind is one of the movies that we're not allowed to mention on this show. So I'm just not going to say it because we're not going to be that podcast. But
oh no, that is miles better. Like, hold on, those are good movies.
Yeah, that's the thing, is those are good movies. And
but no, hold on.
Let me finish this point.
Okay.
Hocus Pocus. So like, I didn't like this. I don't know that I've seen Halloween Town, so I couldn't comment either way. But I don't like Nightmare Before Christmas. I don't like the horror genre in general. I really like Get Out and Us and A Quiet Place, like the more recent sort of critically acclaimed horror. But for the most part, I'm not interested at all. But nothing in the Halloween genre comes anywhere close to any of the Christmas greats. Nothing is close to Elf. Nothing is close to Love Actually. Nothing is close to even like the Santa Claus. Nothing is even remotely as good.
I agree. I think I could agree with that. I think Halloween is not focused on as much by critically or trying to create critically acclaimed material. Christmas gets a lot more of it. I think there's a lot more, especially family-friendly Christmas content to watch around those holidays than Halloween, for sure. I definitely agree with you on that.
Yeah. Well,
there's not a whole lot of not family-friendly Christmas movies.
Mm-hmm.
Love Actually is not family-friendly.
No, but there's not a whole lot of like Christmas horror movies. Not in the major canon, at least. But like, hold on. Let me make myself very clear though. There are so many Christmas movies that are so much worse than this. There's they come out with 25 more Christmas movies every year that are worse than this.
Yeah, Hallmark has its own channel.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Is like there's a never-ending factory of 1 out of 10 Christmas movies.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but
that
there
will just
are
never
also
find purchase
a
the way this
never-ending
was.
factory of amateur filmmakers making horror films.
Correct. But that's horror. That's not Halloween movies. That's horror.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think it's just kind of the nature of the holiday is that kind of in December, the world like feels, at least for me, it feels like the whole world is like obsessed with the holiday. Like, especially, I mean, right as Thanksgiving gets done, it's like, welcome to Christmas zone. Like,
Yeah.
It is, get your gifts ready, your lights out, and your mistletoes hung because we're about to get crazy. And then it's just like all Christmas all the time. It's like, I mean, there's literally just radio stations that are like, welcome to Christmas only. We're just doing this now.
This is our job now.
Yeah. I mean, at least in America, we're just obsessed with it.
Because it's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely my favorite holiday. I flippin' love Christmas. Christmas is just such a great time of year. But
I can't wait. Christmas starts on Friday. I'm so excited.
I mean, I listened to a bit of Christmas songs because it started to snow. I woke up and there was snow on the cars. I'm like, oh yeah, it's that time of year.
I will be driving around Friday with the windows down, blasting Christmas music for all to hear.
Here comes Santa Claus, boys.
What's the best Here Comes Santa Claus?
I don't know.
What's the one I like? What's the oh gosh. Now I'm gonna be stressed out. I love Christmas music. Oh God. What's the one I like, Ethan?
What?
What's the one? You better not pout. Better not. That's Santa Claus is coming to town, right?
Santa Claus is coming to town. Yeah.
Yeah. The Springsteen version. That's the best one.
Ooh.
It really is.
I only have 3 playlists on Spotify. I've got my
that
pop playlist.
Stresses me out.
That it's just like anything that's just.
I firmly don't believe in playlists.
It's just kind of like anything that I like. Then it's the main playlist, the Disney playlist. That's just anything Disney related goes in there. Or, there's a sprinkle of musicals. And then the Christmas playlist. Because I've realized that I like a lot of Christmas songs and I need them all in one place.
You have 3 playlists? Like forever?
Yeah, that's just forever. I mainly
That's
just listen to
insane.
Disney. Yeah. It's grand majority of the time it's just Disney.
I do listen to a ton of Disney and musicals. There's no doubt about that. But I listen to a lot of other things too. I don't really make a ton of playlists. I have a bunch because my Spotify is what we used for the radio show many years ago. But that's insane. Do you ever listen to like the playlist Spotify makes for you? How many playlists? If you
I
go
listen
to
to
your
those all the time. The daily mixes, the on repeat playlists. I listen to those all the time for sure. I don't make my own playlists.
not anymore, no.
No, I mean, for me, it's typically like I just shuffle. This is like all the music that I want to listen to. Like, it's just like, I want to listen to Disney music. This is the vibe I want. I just click shuffle.
I also don't believe in
I want to
shuffle.
get the random bits of magic out of it, because I've got like Disney theme park stuff. I've got like all my favorite Disney shows.
I have-
like Tangled the series.
I have very
all of it.
strange views on playlists that don't line up with a lot of people. But I believe that if your playlist needs to be shuffled, it's a bad playlist.
I mean,
That's a harsh stance.
But I also
Yeah.
don't dump like 1,000 songs on a playlist and like call it good.
yeah. See, the point of mine is just to get
No, I
random songs.
understand the
Yeah.
point of yours. I just don't line up with that at all. Like, and
when
people
you
think I'm super weird
curate
for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's if you're consuming your media, you can consume it however you want.
How dare you, Isaac? Telling people they can do what they want with their time and their freedom. They will do it all the same. They
Like my
will not hit
girlfriend's
shuffle.
roommate
will
made
argue.
like a middle school. My girlfriend's roommate made like a middle school throwback jam playlist, and they were listening to it. And middle school for them is like early high school for us, like 2007, 2008. And we were listening to it, and it was like 7 Paramore songs in a row, and I was like, this is a bad playlist.
Why is that a bad playlist?
Because it's, if you have a bunch of artist variety, you should mix the songs up.
But if the playlist was just 7 Paramore songs, that would be a great playlist.
Correct.
Ladies
But
and
it was
gentlemen,
like-
I'm here to tell you, we've all been sleeping on Paramore. I know that
It
it's
was
really
like-
just me, but Paramore is the best ever.
So it would be like Heart in a Blender by Eve 6, and then something else by a different band, and then 7 Paramore songs, and then something else by a different band. I'm like, this is a bad playlist, because like, and she's like, well, I just put it on shuffle, and I'm like, then you didn't make it right.
You have a lot of Paramore here. To be fair, you can always have more Paramore. That's why it's called Paramore. Pair of more songs.
But like, I for the most part just make cues.
Yeah, I queue up a ton of stuff.
Like, it's not uncommon for me to sit down and be like, I'm driving for how long? 2 hours? All right, let me cue 2 hours with the music.
See, that's the thing. Like, if I was going to make a playlist, I would probably make one for a designated amount of time, and then I would put it in like a very particular order so that you can get the variety that you want.
But
like your ideal shuffle.
let me make myself clear. For the most part, I listen to albums.
Interesting.
Like, I will go on and put on like an album by a band, and I will listen to it front to back.
I've been listening to Jesus is King. What a banger of an
Because
album.
I still firmly believe in the concept of the album. I think artists usually, well, and it depends on who it is. Like, there's probably not a whole lot of care taken in like a Maroon 5 album, like as far as how the songs go together and whatever. But it's like Damn by Kendrick Lamar. Right? That album is created in such a way that you can listen to every song front to back and they all flow directly into each other. And it is also made in such a way that you can completely reverse the track order and they still all flow into each other.
Do you put on fade or do you just allow them to go?
Yeah, I just let them go. I don't crossfade anything.
Okay, interesting.
Because I listen to a lot of like alternative music, and a lot of times it is like songs will just bang straight into each other, and I thoroughly enjoy that in music. So, but I'm not the average person. I'm not saying I'm better or worse than anybody else. It's just I'm not the average music listener. Like I would right now just go put on an album and listen to it back to front, and there might be songs that I don't like, and I might skip them, but probably not. And I know a lot of people don't do that, but I do that. That's how I listen to music primarily. And if an artist I like puts out a new album, I will go listen to that album in the right order like 5 or 6 times before I ever think about just like putting on a specific song.
I mean, I know my brother does that he'll listen to an entire album all the way through, especially because he selectively chooses things to get on vinyl as well. So he appreciates
Right,
more
with
the craft
vinyl it's
of
really
it.
hard to pick a song.
Yeah.
Picking a song on vinyl stresses me out so much. I'm like, I'm going to pick this needle up and scratch the record. Well, it's useless now. Okay.
I mean, it's not.
Can't listen to this one anymore.
You're not gonna-
no
you're
more
not gonna
King
do
of
that,
Pop for
probably.
me. Well, I know. I play with it a lot, but
I buy things on vinyl still. I've recently picked that back up. I just ordered a vinyl yesterday.
ooh, which vinyl? Was it Jesus is King?
It is not.
Oh, it's so good. You should get it on vinyl.
I actually haven't listened to it yet.
I listened to a few tracks today. It's very good.
That's what I've heard.
It's much better than Hocus Pocus.
I didn't have, see, that was the thing, is I didn't have time to consume a whole album today because I was plowing through the Looking for Alaska miniseries. And that was dominating my subconscious. It's like I woke up and I watched Hocus Pocus like as soon as I woke up so I could get back to watching Looking for Alaska.
I'm sorry that you had to do that. I will not lie to you, Isaac.
All right.
I really wish that I liked the movie. I really wish that I saw where people were coming from. I really wish I knew why people were still watching it beyond it's always on television. Like, I wish I knew why they kept putting it on television. I hated the experience of watching this movie. It was so bad. There was not a single scene where I was like, this is a worthwhile movie. I am enjoying this. Every beat was missed, and I'm so sad that I feel this way, but it is absolutely how I feel.
Isaac, this was the this is the conversation we thought we were going to have about Avatar that we just didn't.
No, we were both hyped about Avatar. we were like, give us more. I know that I'm pretty sure that there's going to be a third extension of Hocus Pocus, and I believe that there's also going to be a follow-up film that I don't believe is going to have the original Sanderson sisters, but is going to be other witches. So Hocus Pocus lineage continues to live on.
It would be a huge cop-out if it was still the other Sanderson sisters, because they's dead.
I mean, yeah, they'd have to revive them, which they did in the sequel. Spoiler alert.
There was a sequel?
Yes, there was a sequel book.
Oh.
A little bit of spoilers, but there's a fourth Sanderson sister. There's we get to find out more about who their mother is because they reference their mother in the movie. Then there's a big cliffhanger about the entity that's within the book. That's what I want to learn about. So I mean,
the book made of human skin.
Yeah.
Yuck.
Here's the other thing too, is that I think, like, especially when there's lore contained within one bit of media, I love to explore it. So I think it's just fascinating to like learn about all the little bits and just absorb all the humor. So I mean, that's where I'm coming from with Hocus Pocus. And I'm also kind of a Kenny Ortega like fan. I've enjoyed all of his stuff from High School Musical to Zombies. I mean, he didn't direct Zombies, but he like did the choreography. The same thing for like Descendants. I'm kind of into all of the stuff, all of the like super campy, super cheesy stuff that he makes. So I guess you also have to take that into account with my opinion that I just kind of can shut my brain off and enjoy the silly childish humor of it all.
I think what I thought was when I turned it on, I was going to be like, okay, this is like a kid's movie that's got adult beats and I'm going to laugh and I can turn my brain off and enjoy it. But like when I turned my brain off, I still didn't enjoy it. And I was like, oh, these kid beats aren't funny for children. And these grown-up beats are like super uncomfortable and way too on the nose. And that stresses me out. And like I said, like I really wanted to like it. And I think if I visited like High School Musical, I think I'd be like, wow, this is super campy and awful. But Zac Efron and all these other people really know sort of what they're doing. And there's something of value in here. And I see why people like it.
Yeah.
I do not feel the same way about Hocus Pocus. I do not see why people like it.
I think Hocus Pocus also is a weird bag as you described it, because it really doesn't feel appropriate or like good for a young audience to watch, but it's also not something that's particularly geared for adults. So it's kind of just it really is playing it didn't intentionally do this, but it works really well for the people that stumbled upon it in a weird like tween age and then just have continued to watch it. Like that is the beauty of it, is that all it is playing off of nostalgia. That's all it's very good for. And that's what I feel like, that's the perspective I'm coming from. I've seen it when I was young and now I own it on Blu-ray and I've talked about it on my channel.
You own it on Blu-ray?
Yeah. That's the price you pay when you talk about movies. And you need the clips from the movies, is that you just own all the movies.
Yeah, see, that's the other thing, is we don't need that.
No, you don't.
I thought about buying it. I actually, so when I was renting it, it's $3.99 to rent right now and $9.99 to buy, and free on YouTube, and also going to be on Disney Plus. So don't buy it. But I was like, oh, $9.99 to purchase. That's not that bad. And I was like, literally like, oh, we'll probably watch this. You know, maybe we'll make a tradition out of it and watch it every year. and I'm so insanely happy that I did not buy it. My $6
I just love the fact that
is
Tyler was
safe.
like, there's no way I'm not going to like this movie. Everybody else likes it.
Yes. You telling me that was my stance?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I love that you were just like, oh, everybody else likes this. There's no possible way I'm not going to like this.
I think that's also the thing was I had very high expectations going in. Like when I said I'd never seen this movie, I did not realize how much I had never seen this movie. I think past like the Salem scene, like the 1793 scene, I had seen nothing. Like
I've definitely seen this movie. Like I could point to a time when I watched this movie.
no, not me. Couldn't do it. And that was
I'm not going to point to that time, but I could point to a time.
So I kept watching, and there was a few moments I was like, what on earth just happened? For like, I don't want to just poke holes in it, because I think if you try to poke holes in the movie logic here, you're just going to frustrate yourself with how much doesn't make sense. But to poke holes in it, like they couldn't go on the hollowed ground, but they could fly over the hollowed ground. So it wasn't like really stopping anything.
It's pronounced hallowed. And I was like, that's how this word works, guys. Hey, movie makers. Hollowed is a different word.
I thought it was hollow. I guess maybe you just learned me something. I would have thought hollowed meant like has empty space because there's bodies in it because we dug holes here.
No, it's hallowed, like
sacred,
blessed, like saintly.
Well, you learn something new every day. I learned yesterday that I don't like this movie, and I learned today what hallowed means. But yeah, so like there was a ton of hype around it, and then I didn't like it, and that made me sad. I knew immediately when the zombie came out of the ground, I was like, oh, that guy doesn't like the Sanderson sisters. That's what's going to happen here. He's not going to listen to them later on. They did the gimmick where he loses his head twice. They burned them alive in the kiln. Why was there a fire in there? I'm so confused.
That's a good question. I will admit that's a very good question.
Why didn't they die from the kiln is the main thing.
Because they just can't die. They can't.
Not until the sun comes up.
Yeah, the spirits will not disappear until that point.
That's a weird loophole that, like, for vampires.
Also, they like made the parents dance until they died.
Originally it was going to be until the parents die.
Right, that's morbid.
Because they're calling
Yeah.
all the children to them.
Yeah, so they're having all the parents tied up at the dance party, and then they're calling all the kids, which is how they, get away with. Why aren't any of the parents, going after their kids when they're just
straight up?
marching
Hold
away?
on, back it up. We're back at the dance party. The mom can just dress as like traffic cone Madonna, and we're all cool with this.
I guess. I don't know.
I mean, clearly we are, but
I mean, I get the assumption that she, like, changed into that costume after the kids left.
well, yeah, that it was like she went to the party and like she did her, I'm a grown up.
It's a parents-only party.
right?
All right, here's.
Also, who's passing out candy if that's where the party is?
I mean, that's a good question. But here's
it was
another
over
funny
40s.
thing. How do you guys like that in Salem? Like everyone believes in witches and like ghosts and all of the supernatural. It's to the point where they're just bullying Max. They're just like, "Are you crazy, kid?"
So, I don't think they would have bullied Max, but if you've ever been to Salem, Massachusetts, it's really like that.
It's really like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we've
Max
been.
would have definitely been the outlier. Like, I don't know that the kids would have gotten that into it, like, growing up there, but he would have been like, what's with all the Halloween stuff? And they would have just been
like if there's a spot in this country,
Hey, Maxie, Max, let it go, bud.
we do Halloween here and we do it big. And that's true. And like prior to this, like we were there March, so well after
We were
Halloween.
there March 18th. This is my birthday.
Yes,
2000. It's my 16th birthday, so 2009.
2009.
Yeah.
So we were there for Ethan's birthday in March. There are pictures from that trip of just Halloween decorations all over town.
Yep.
in
100%.
Like Salem, Massachusetts goes hard for Halloween, and like the ghost tours, it's a big part of the culture in Salem.
Yeah.
They killed the cat on screen. Like they just get up out of the manhole and the cat's got a tire track through it. If that's not horrifying, that's scarier than any scene in Jordan Peele's Get Out.
I said this in a text earlier, but I'm mixing my things up here because I was definitely expecting Binks the cat to talk like Salem from Sabrina. And he'd be like,
Yeah.
hey, what's with the house here? What are you talking about?
I totally get that vibe. I mean, that's totally like what I completely compared it to in my mind.
Did they spend $18 million convincing that kid to turn himself into a cat in like real life? Is that where this money went? Where do you spend $28 million on this movie? It certainly wasn't on the costumes or Bette Midler's makeup.
Okay, that's
or the
true.
sets.
All right.
I feel like Isaac's like, how do you spend $28 million on that? If I gave you $28 million,
I
Isaac,
could have made a better movie with $28 million, to tell you that much.
I mean, agreed.
who
I
would
could have hired Steven Spielberg to make Schindler's List and then pocketed $6 million.
And you'd know Liam Neeson.
Okay, here's something interesting. So, because I was just curious about this, like, how much did other movies cost like this at the time? I pulled up Mrs. Doubtfire. Mrs. Doubtfire had a budget of $25 million. Is that...
Yeah, I don't really know where they spent that either.
Yeah, like there was not very many sets. Like, it was Robin Williams, but...
So, released February 12th, 1993, Groundhog Day cost 14.6, sorry.
Jurassic
That
Park
seems
only
more
cost
in the-
63.
Yeah, and they brought dinosaurs back to life for that.
I mean, yeah. Sleepless?
That movie's scary.
We should watch that on Halloween every year. Every year on Bacon and Eggs, we reviewed Jurassic Park.
Man, 1993 was a heck of a year for movies.
Well, I mean, it had Jurassic Park. What else matters?
It had Jurassic Park, it had Groundhog Day, it had Mrs. Doubtfire, apparently.
Jurassic Park was also money better spent at $1.029 billion at the box office. When did it make $1 billion?
That has to be adjusted.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
From what I'm seeing, it was $914 million in 1993.
That's a
Well,
lot.
and it has gotten several re-releases.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's just like this just seems like such a made-for-TV movie that it doesn't seem possible that it cost $28 million.
It did have a real cast, at least for the supporting roles.
Yeah.
I mean,
feel like
like I
that's
said, they
probably
have to
where a
have-
lot of the money went. Like, other than the special effects, which, I mean, weren't mind-blowing even for the time. But, like, they had a lot of big-name people, at least in it, other than, like, a lot of the kid cast.
Here's the thing, though, is I feel like, because I was having this argument with Mary Clay earlier, and she was all like, oh, find me a movie from 1993 where the special effects hold up. And I was like, Jurassic Park. But then I thought about it, like, I guess Industrial Light and Magic was probably just really busy with Jurassic Park that year. So like, they probably weren't able to do much else.
Well, it came out in June. I imagine it was that, that's the first half of the year. Could have worked for like 3 weeks on this before it released in July.
Yeah.
Oh God, here we go. This did have a pretty decent soundtrack or score to it. I'll tell you that much.
I also agree with that. I think the music is very good.
I think
Sets the tone.
it's the outstanding feature of this movie was that I was like, this is a good like 90s movie score.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed that part.
There's 2 songs in it. They're like, Sarah Jessica Parker, sing a song now. And God, can she not sing? With your beautiful, beautiful voice, sing a song to attract the children. Oh, the virgins, bring me the virgins.
See, I think this type of film kind of falls into the category of, this is one of those things that Disney, and kind of every company does, at least in some part of their business, is that like there's always something that people can point to and be like, this is the cheap part of the business. Like, this is the thing that is clearly just trying to like gain money for the company. And that's something that's kind of always existed throughout the Disney company. And this falls into the category of one of the things that was going on when Michael Eisner, the CEO that was able to grow Disney after the Renaissance, or during the Renaissance and through it, was that the idea of, instead of trying to do giant epic like films, the giant Broadway films of like esque films like Sound of Music, is that it would just be the idea of doing cheap films and then just trying to make the budget back. And so that's what I feel like this movie tried to do, and it eventually did it. And I think that for what it is, it's not exceptional, but I think for a lot of people it's just a romp. It's just a weird time that people enjoy.
So
A lot of people pointed this as one of their favorite movies ever, though, and that is just so wild to me.
movies that Disney released in 1993, just in case you're curious, Nightmare Before Christmas, Hocus Pocus, Homeward Bound, A Far Off Place, The Adventures of Huck Finn, The Three Musketeers, and Cool Runners are the 7 feature-length films that Disney released in
Cool
1993.
Runners.
Yeah, or Cool Runnings.
Yep.
What a bop.
I don't know that
What
any
a
of
freaking
these...
movie.
Or I think other than Nightmare Before Christmas, nobody calls any of these their favorite film ever.
I don't know. There's a big following for Cool Runnings.
Hasn't that been remade since then?
I don't
I
think
don't
so.
think so.
No,
Not
it's
that I'm
that
aware
version of it.
They talk about it. I mean, like it's like
I mean, any time that you watch bobsledding, people are like, "Oh, have you seen Cool Runnings?"
right. It's about the Jamaican bobsled team, man.
But this, I believe, is a Homeward Bound sequel that I'm looking at here. Homeward Bound: The Incredible Journey. Is that the original?
That's the sequel, I'm pretty sure.
I remember loving the Homeward Bound movies. 85 minutes of pure joy. Chance, played by Michael J. Fox.
Nope. Homeward Bound 2 Lost in San Francisco is the sequel.
Good God. It's not even trying to change the name from that other movie we can't talk about on the show.
Yeah.
Have you ever even heard of A Far Off Place? What's A Far Off Place?
I don't know.
I stopped listening, to tell you the truth, halfway through that.
This is Reese Witherspoon. That's all I've got. As Nani Parker. Nani's a South African girl. Oh, God. We're watching it. I need the accent.
Well, wait, is that Reese Witherspoon going to do a South African accent?
Yes.
Oh, God.
Let's see if I can.
Okay.
Oh, the preview on YouTube is 1 hour and 47 minutes long. Do you think that's the whole thing?
I've got a feeling there's a 70% chance it is.
Homeward Bound 2 Lost in San Francisco.
Is Donald Trump in Homeward Bound 2?
I mean, I have no idea. It does not tell me how much it costs to make, though. It just tells me the box office. Which was $32 million.
A Far Off Place was a 1974 Disney film as well. No, not Disney film. Lauren Vanderpost. What is this? Disney history is wild to me. Isaac, I need fun topics for fun people. Live action Disney films from the early to mid 90s.
Listen, live action Disney films are a just giant plethora of things that people have never heard of and never will understand, but they are very deep. The catalog is just vast. It's one of those things where when Disney realized that animated feature films were very difficult to make and took a long time, that especially when the World War II era began, that they had to diversify in some way, but to continue to make the products that they were doing, they turned to like live action films. And so for the grand majority of its history, they've been producing live action films that don't garner the same type of like cult following that the animated films do or have been remembered to. But in a lot of ways, they're kind of like the backbone that's kept Disney afloat in a few really hard times. So live action, like the Tom Sawyer, like the, oh God, I can't even think of some of them, but like Tom Sawyer's Island, there's the Robinsons one. I can't even think of it, but a lot of those films were what kept Disney alive. Walt Disney is also known for pioneering the modern wildlife documentary. He was the first first person to do that as well. So it was a way to diversify the company, and that's why there's just tons and tons of live action Disney movies that not many people know, but is just kind of a common fact with most studios. The grand majority of studios, everyone, don't make videos or don't make movies that are aging on 80 to 90 years old and are continuing to being watched by audiences. The grand majority of movies are not consumed in that way. It's kind of remarkable.
What Disney does is amazing. Disney's an awesome company. I mean, I don't know about that. But
you could definitely, that's not an argument you can't make about about Columbia or Paramount or Universal or any other studio that was making movies back then.
Okay, are you affirming this point?
No, I'm saying that is an invalid argument, saying that like other studios didn't make movies that are still being watched 80, 90 years on.
Well, I think there's some, but I'm saying that like Disney has been able to create films that are continuously being watched. They've made a larger catalog of films that are watched at a much higher rate than other studios that were around at the same time.
I mean, I'm not going to argue with that, but they're not the only, like, there are still classic movies from every studio.
I mean, I agree. Like, there's like the 10 Commandments. There's like Ben-Hur. Like, there's other massive movies, Sound of Music. There's other huge movies that have come out that people continue to watch every year. But how many studios have like 50 of those?
Well, and how many students have theme parks dedicated to 90-year-old films? I go to Universal and I'm like, Men in Black? That's an old film. And
Yeah.
Men in Black is from, that had a sequel this year. So, you know, like, I definitely see where you're coming from on that point. That, you know, I don't think there's a ton of super old Disney stuff in the parks, but Mickey Mouse is there and he's been around the whole time.
Yeah.
So I definitely get where you're coming from on that point. And that is a truly remarkable feat by Disney. And I think that sometimes to its, I don't want to say disadvantage, but maybe to the disadvantage of film knowledge across the board, I think sometimes people would be wise to diversify their interests in classic film, if classic film is what they're into, to looking at across, you know, all studios and not just what Disney
and
has to
especially
offer.
like, if you want to talk about the holidays, look at this Christmas time and just see like how many classic movies and where they came from, and especially how many of them have like RKO or Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer or, like I said, Columbia or Paramount or any of those.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I totally get what you mean by that.
I don't know. I mean, I was trained as a classic movies guy, so like that statement didn't really like align with me at all.
Well, and I guess that's the thing. It's like for someone who's into classic movies and who's explored that, who's into the analysis of film and historical film, then you're right. There's lots of movies that have influenced film and that are continuing to be looked to and done research to and are, you know, looked to as amazing films. But I was mainly coming from the purpose of pop culturally, like the masses.
No, for sure, I get that. But I also don't think that the masses are watching 90-year-old Disney movies either.
They're buying Mickey Mouse toys and ears.
Okay, but like survey how many of them have actually seen Snow White.
I would like to survey people with parents that have bought Snow White.
I bet more people have seen Snow White than Ben-Hur.
I would agree with that too.
Yeah.
I would agree with that as well, but I think that with if you're surveying the movie going audience, especially the people listening to these shows, I think obviously many more of them have seen The Lion King than have seen Snow White.
Well, yeah. Well, it came out in the demographic we're targeting.
But that's what I'm saying is I think that if you want to talk about the masses, I think the masses aren't looking back for any movie made 80, 90 years ago.
I mean, I suppose, but I'm just most people don't hit a point in their life and they're like, okay, I'm a 50-year-old person with kids that are 15. Now's the time to show them Ben-Hur. But there's definitely people that
You're right. That point. And see, that's the weird thing is like that point in my life was when I was 9, not 15. I was like 9. My dad was like, "This is Ben-Hur. This movie sucks." You know what? Here's the thing. It does suck.
I think Isaac, you've got a good point. I mean, let's take a look at the Snow White example. I have not seen if a Ben-Hur pop culture reference was made in a modern film, I would completely miss it, and I'm like a movie person. But Snow White, the character, was in Ralph Breaks the Internet.
But have you seen Snow White?
I think so, yeah. We had it on VHS. I don't know that I could, not since I've been a conscious adult, but as a child, I definitely saw it. It definitely played in front of my eyeballs.
The thing is, too, is that in the next 4 years, you're going to watch Snow White.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, because of my child?
You have an offspring.
Snow White. Have you seen Moana? It's pretty freaking good.
There's the thing is like there's a
suppose.
lot of, and this is sort of the point I was trying to argue is like I think Disney's made some of their best movies ever within the last 8 years as opposed to the last 80 years.
Okay.
I mean, in the last 80 years, they did make Moana and Frozen. So
No, but like I think that there are more animated Disney movies that I like that came out between 2010 and 2018 that came out before 2010.
Frozen's so good. That's what I'm trying to say.
Like I think
love
that they
Frozen.
are really hitting their stride right now. Them and they own Pixar, so like Pixar gets factored into that equation.
Well, I think you have a good point there that Disney is hitting a new type of stride right now. Like we're in a different era of Disney that will be remembered for it dominating the animated industry. Well,
Right.
dominating
And
film
like
industry,
I've seen a lot of those because I did grow up in classic movies. I've seen a lot of those live action Disney movies that they would probably rather just forget. Like there was a while there where they were just churning out movies left and right whether it made sense or not.
Yes.
And a lot of them were like, I've seen Homeward Bound, The Incredible Journey. I've seen the freaking original Incredible Journey from 65 or whatever. They're not great movies. There was a lot of bad movies that came out then.
No. And see, that's the thing that I find kind of silly about people that are very critical of Disney doing things like the live action remakes of films and who act as if that Disney doesn't have a historical precedent of churning out things that will result in them making a profit. Like this is a business that has been around for 100 years, so there's been times where they've done it and they've done it hard.
Well, and not to mention, like, I think here's what drives me crazy about the audience 30 and under on the live action remakes is you're the only people that don't like them. They're making $1 billion because a large percentage of people really like them because they really liked Beauty and the Beast. And then they went and they saw
Hermione B. Bell.
They saw Hermione B. Bell, and that was cool, right? And then they went and saw Lion King, and they were like, wow, this is like a nature documentary, and that's awesome. And then they went and saw Aladdin, and were like, oh my gosh, Will Smith, obviously nobody's going to be Robin Williams. I would never expect him to be. But this was a very good take on it.
Man, if Disney would go back and remake some of their like live action nature documentaries, I'd be all about that. That was in the 50s and 60s. That was the best thing that Disney did. Was they made a bunch of like, we're going to follow this bear, and some jovial guy is going to talk to you about this bear, and we're going to give him a story, but he's just a bear. He's going to do bear things, and we're going to write a story around him, and you're going to think he's freaking adorable.
I got a problem with that, Ethan. That bear is dead. They can't remake it.
Yeah, but like, you got another bear. Literally, the National Park Service is out here like, hey, just remember, fat bears are healthy bears.
Well, are you aware of like the Disney nature documentaries that they still do? Like they still have like a funding for it.
Yeah,
do they still do those?
Yeah, they're not too long ago. Like Morgan Freeman did the Penguins thing, right?
Yeah, the guy who played Andy from The Office did one about penguins as well. And I
didn't know that. I loved those. Those were my favorite things when I was a kid.
They've got them all over.
I'm trying
to
remember what the one about the bear was.
If you go to your local Family Video, they are in the free area of the kids section.
In my local what?
Family Video.
What the heck is that?
It's like Blockbuster, but it's still around.
No, I don't want the 2014 movie Bears.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is. See, they're pairing. Family Video is very smart because they're continuously pairing with like pizza joints. So if you like buy a pizza and get it delivered to your house, you can just get a free movie with Family Video. They're just like throwing a video. So and if you order another pizza, they'll take the movie back for you. So they're like doing creative things like that. Family Video is still around in my town. Well, actually, both places I live. What?
I would love to own a video rental store. That would be so cool. Unfortunately, it would.
I'm trying to figure out what
1,000% flop where I live.
The IMDb top 50 list of movies featuring animals. Number 10 on this list is Marmaduke.
Like Owen Wilson Marmaduke?
Like the Owen Wilson Marmaduke, yeah. To be fair, number 6 is the Snakes on a Plane above Jaws. This is the worst list I've ever seen. I'm trying to figure out what the freaking Disney bear documentary I'm talking about was.
Are you sure it's not just a list of 50 movies starring animals and not like the top 50?
It says 50 best movies featuring animals.
Okay, so it's the 50 best. I did not necessarily in order.
They're listed 1, 2, 3, 4. That's in order.
Well, I don't think
that's how a top 50 list works.
But if you make a list on IMDb, I think it just puts them in that order.
Based on what?
Okay,
what do you mean just
Bear
puts them in that
Country.
order?
1953.
That might be it.
It was a series that is... All right, so I looked up Disney Nature first. And Disney Nature has a historical precedent of being from the True Life Adventures and is a series of 14 full-length and short-subject documentary films produced by Walt Disney Productions roughly between the years of 1948 and 1960. And one of them is, well, there's in Beaver Valley, some of the Olympic elk, water birds, and then number 6, Bear Country. And I don't think any of them have anything else to do with bears, so that seems it.
Oh, it's, yeah, I'm watching a clip from it. This is 100% it. The 33-minute documentary Bear Country.
Oh, and this is the beautiful thing, too. This played with Peter Pan during its original theatrical run. That's awesome.
I have seen this thing. I've seen Bear Country from Disney probably 14 times in my life.
That's 7 hours of Bear Country.
I needed 3 seconds of that audio to tell me that it was the same thing.
I've seen most of the
Narrated by Winston Hibbler.
Homeward Bound type videos or movies. I've seen Homeward Bound and the sequel and Cats and Dogs, and
it would appear that this guy
all the Beethoven
narrated
movies
all of the Disney nature things from that period.
And Air Bud.
Very cool.
Because those would come on, they would just play those on TCM when they had like a random 30-minute block between movies.
Oh, that makes sense.
They're like, oh, this movie's only so long, but we're starting another movie at 8. Let's play Bear Country.
Ethan, I have a question for you, and I don't want
Yeah.
you to think that I'm coming after you, because I'm definitely not, and I hope it doesn't sound like I am. You grew up in a Turner Classic Movies household.
Yes.
Are you under the impression that that's normal?
No.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know.
I thought you were going to go somewhere like, hey, that's just like people growing up with like Disney Channel or something like that.
It is exactly like that.
Yeah.
It is exactly like that. It's like but
No, but
I have
people
a
come for my
working
neck all the
knowledge
time
of
when I say I didn't
Nickelodeon.
watch Disney Channel growing up. So
but I would counterpoint. You sort of come for people's necks when they say they grew up watching Disney Channel. So
I mean, whatever. It's my show.
it is your show. I did not come up watching Disney Channel or Turner Classic Movies.
Because I have faced so much of the like with this movie, it's like, what, you never saw Hocus Pocus as a kid? Did you not watch Disney Channel, you freaking weirdo? And I'm like, no, I didn't watch Disney Channel. I was watching good movies.
There it is.
But that's the thing, is like, I was watching good movies, not this, not Halloween Town, not Wizards of Waverly Place. Like,
Well, Wizard of Waverly Place would have been when you were in high school.
whatever.
We didn't get Disney Channel.
I watched
until
undeniably,
I was, 9.
certifiably, objectively good movies for the most part.
Well,
like movies that the grand populace has decided are worth watching, not just like a group of nostalgic teenagers.
You
But
could
the grand
argue,
populace is now those nostalgic teenagers, and it was a group of nostalgic teenagers who chose those Turner Classic Movies.
I was about to say a bunch of nostalgic old white guys.
Yeah, that's the truth too, right? Ben-Hur is great.
You guys could benefit from some TCM.
I'm sure I would love to.
I'm sure it'd be a
grow.
ride.
Yeah, I would love to grow my catalog of seen films. I would certainly love that.
But no, I am not under the impression that is normal, but I also don't, I would argue, based on how we grew up and who we grew up with, that the subset of people who obsessively watch Disney Channel and know the whole Disney back catalog is equally as not normal.
I would agree that it is.
Because you didn't grow up like that, our friends didn't grow up like that, hardly anybody we went to high school with grew up like that. We like met these people in college that grew up like that, and then now they're a bunch of people that interact with us because of the show they're like that, but like for the grand majority of people, that is also not the norm.
No, I don't think so. I think you have to choose that life. Yeah, like
Yeah.
Unless your parents are like that, you got to choose the life. I think the main thing for me is that I think people that are pretty isolated from the movie world, if they have kids, they're going to buy a Disney animated film at some point and pop it in the Blu-ray player or put it up on the stream, like at some point.
I will say this as a parent, although I do come from a world where like Disney has definitely benefited my family and our thing. And my child is not old enough to be watching movies. She has no idea what's going on the television. But I will say that when I consider like what if I had to choose loyalty to like a film company to like just show like to reliably show family friendly quality products that would educate my daughter in a way that I think was a fairly worldly knowledge of film and the medium, I would almost definitely, almost exclusively show Disney films. Like I would choose almost any Disney film before I wanted to watch any Minions film. Mm-hmm. And like I like the Despicable Me movies. That's what's weird to me about it is that like I think the Despicable Me proper, like 1, 2, and 3, are hilarious and excellent movies. But I do think that Illumination, I don't want to say it's raunchier, but is raunchier, and that like stresses me out. And it's about, you know, villains and stealing things, and that stresses me out. And so I don't know. Disney to me seems like a safer bet, but I'm sure we'll watch Illumination movies, and I'm sure I'll buy stupid Minions stuff at some point. Because at the end of the day, if I put on Moana and she's like, this is stupid, we watched this at a time where I'm not interested in it, and now I hate this, and then I put on Despicable Me at a time where she's paying attention to the TV, she's going to end up loving the Minions. There's no stopping that.
Anyway, yeah, no, I fully agree with you. I think that Disney, if you have to like, the Disney Channel is probably not a bad idea. Like if you need to stick your kid in front of a TV, and I think this is where a lot of this came from, is like babysitters and stuff like didn't know what to do and stuck the kids in front of a TV with Disney Channel on.
And Disney Channel is not bad. I grew up watching Nickelodeon. That was our Disney Channel. We didn't get Disney Channel. I remember when it like added to our catalog. I was very young. I was probably 6, but I do remember like today we didn't have Disney Channel and now we do. And I remember like trying to get into the shows that were on it and being like, okay, well, I already know the characters and the shows that are on Nickelodeon, so I'm just going to stick with Nickelodeon. And I don't think that any had any sort of adverse effect on me. I think that was just the one that I went with. But I felt like growing up, there was like Disney Channel was for the valedictorian kids and Cartoon Network was for the kids who hung out in dumpsters, and Nickelodeon was sort of where I landed. And until I was old enough to watch like the sort of pop American anime, like the, you know, Dragon Ball Z and Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh and stuff, then I watched that on Cartoon Network. But I never really watched Disney Channel until I had like a guilty pleasure for Hannah Montana, because I thought Miley Cyrus was super hot when I was like 14 to 18.
Yeah, she was when we were 14.
Yeah. And let me tell you something, that you're not going to stop the raging hormones of a 14-year-old boy. So that was why I watched that show. But that was really it. Like that, I think that was the only show that I ever really like consistently watched on Disney Channel.
I think that's something to acknowledge as well, is that I feel like on Disney Channel, it feels like there's a large emphasis, the grand majority of the time, especially at least when we were growing up, it was much more focused on creating live action shows than the creation of animated shows. So for me, especially, I would say I probably enjoyed a lot more Nickelodeon shows on a consistent basis. Like I enjoyed SpongeBob, Jimmy Neutron, and the most beautiful Danny Phantom. Danny Phantom's an amazing show.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Butch Hartman, thank you so much for everything you do.
Yeah. Exactly. But the main
Butch
thing,
Hartman's a master.
like beyond like Disney Channel original movies and airing Disney content, I feel like the main reason that I've connected still with Disney Channel like is because of how much farther spread Disney as a company is relative to Nickelodeon. Like without the feature films and the synergy with like the parks, like I think Disney Channel is not the main reason I've connected with Disney, where I feel like it's insane how well like those properties like Danny Phantom, The Last Airbender, like have been able to grow audiences that connect with it so much without the full company supporting them. So Nickelodeon's awesome in its own right.
Yeah.
Back when I was a kid, Nickelodeon and Disney might as well have been the same thing because they both had theme parks.
That's true. Nickelodeon had a daily after school show where you could go get slimed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Nickelodeon when we were kids was like a mythic kingdom that does not exist anymore. They had like game shows and stuff and all kinds of stuff that like it was part of the whole Nickelodeon experience. Like you wanted to be on Double Dare, man.
Yeah, and Nickelodeon was like excellent. And to be honest, if I go toe to toe with most Nickelodeon versus Disney Channel shows, I think with the exception of what was the one with?
I couldn't tell you a whole lot of Disney Channel shows.
No, the live action with Mr. Feeney.
No idea.
Are you talking about
Who's
Ned's
Mr. Feeney?
Declassified?
No, Disney Channel.
Oh God, Mr. Feeney.
Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide is a gem.
That
Or
is,
Mr.
it's
Feely
one of the best
or-
live action shows ever. Like
Ned's
for a
Declassified is
kid
great,
show.
but
yeah.
but what's the show I'm thinking of? They have the sequel show on it right now. It's about a bunch of kids in high school.
Boy Meets World. That was an
Boy Meets
ABC
World.
Family show. Yeah.
Oh, was it? I would have thought it was Disney Channel. So since it's not Disney Channel, that was, I think, that and like Saved by the Bell, which I know wasn't Disney Channel either, were considerably better than I think anything on Nickelodeon. But Nickelodeon growing up had, I mean, even from early like late 90s stuff like Kenan and Kel and all that and stuff like that, even from there into the Amanda Show, and then from there into Drake and Josh had
Saved by the Bell like went off air when you were like 4 months old, bro.
did it really?
Yeah, May 1993, so 6 months.
Well, I don't know. I watched Saved by the Bell. They played it.
I've never seen a single episode of Saved by the Bell.
It actually Zach is
That
the
is
world's
one I was
worst person.
definitely too old for, or too young for.
I watched it. Jonathan watched it before school in the mornings, so I'd seen a few episodes. But
I
in
watched
terms of
Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh before school in the mornings.
yeah, in terms of narrative structure, it was better than all of the Nickelodeon shows.
I remember like even Stevens was good. That was a live action show. Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah.
It wasn't better than like Naked Brothers Band.
It was much better than the Naked
Yeah, it
Brothers band.
No, but like,
Okay.
yeah, like
It
Zoe
might have been much
101. Drake
That was
and
a great
Josh.
show.
Yeah.
Drake and Josh was great.
Yeah. I think
Drake and Josh was great.
I would say
that's it.
that based on just shows, I enjoyed Nickelodeon as a kid more than Disney Channel.
Well, and the animated shows on Nickelodeon were amazing. I mean, SpongeBob to
Yeah.
this day is so good. You said, Danny Phantom's so good. Fairly Odd Parents. I
Oh,
could
yeah.
watch that same formula over and over again for days. Of like, Timmy makes a wish. That's against the rules. He does it anyway. Oh, be careful what you wish for. I could watch that my whole life.
But yeah, and I guess now the reason I watch a lot of the Disney Channel shows that I do is that they were connected to something that I care about still today. So the show that I originally got back into Disney Channel with was Star Wars Rebels, which was originally airing, like the original team was working at Cartoon Network until, of course, Disney bought them. But yeah, Star Wars Rebels was awesome.
Here's the thing, though. Disney Channel's like officially dead, right? Like
No, not yet.
Disney Plus launches in like 10 days, right?
Yeah, I don't really.
13 days.
I don't think that they're going to completely get rid of the Disney Channel just yet, but I'm sure it's going to be an inevitable thing that they will no longer pour as many resources into that. But the reality is that they still have a large amount of reach in those platforms still. So I think they'll probably develop things for them, and then they'll go to Disney Plus immediately.
And that was sort of where I wanted to transition to, was like growing up, I think Nickelodeon was just better across the board. But now Disney Channel has so many, to me, really interesting animation, like even just as like an art form approaches. I think Tangled the series, I've never watched an episode of it, but I love the way that it looks.
Oh yeah.
I think that animation style is very, very cool. Star Wars Rebels is like 3D animated. They have a bunch of 3D animated shows that look really, really good, better than like Jimmy Neutron ever did. Of course, it's a different time period, so it should look better. But I don't know. I think Disney Channel has a lot going for it right now with animation, even though I don't watch any of it. But I don't watch any TV, so it's not like I'm discriminating there. I just don't watch TV, except Stranger Things. Have you guys seen that? Oh my God.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing that I feel like I've replaced with as like YouTube's grown, like my video games time has decreased, but I still watch shows and YouTube, and I'm more of like consume that.
That's the thing, is like everybody's like, Disney Plus, they're gonna have so many original series, and I'm like, yeah, but like so does everybody else. Everybody's doing really good work right now. So Disney Plus has big shoes to fill.
I mean, we have it anyway. We're gonna.
I mean, for sure, but it's like if you're gonna ask me to, like, I'm not the guy that's gonna just watch Disney Plus series because they're on Disney Plus and they exist.
No, I watch them because
if you want to sell me, they gotta
or
be
because
good.
somebody asked me to review it for money.
Yeah, they gotta be good.
Like, are you guys going to review The Mandalorian once it comes out?
Almost
I will watch
certainly
The
not.
Mandalorian no matter what. We will not review it, probably not, but I will definitely watch it.
I will as well.
I mean, we can do like a little.
Unless it sucks.
If I watch the pilot and I'm like, I hate this, then I'm not gonna watch it.
I am abhorrent to the idea of it
Why?
Yeah.
because I hate the Fets.
What?
Well, he's not.
He's no worries, man. He's not a Fett. This is a real Mandalorian.
I don't care. I don't want anything to do with that whole. It is too Boba Fett adjacent for me.
Dude, but he's not a Fett.
I
Fett was
know,
just
but
wearing the
it's
armor.
just-
He was a fake.
It's too Boba Fett adjacent for me to immediately give it a pass. Like, it's gonna have to be good. It's gonna have to be good to win me over.
I would say that Jon Favreau is consistent enough that I'm not worried.
I'm not worried either, but it's not like I'm not sold on the idea. I'm not like I'm gonna go see and I will defend The Rise of Skywalker pretty much no matter what happens.
Yeah, it's Star Wars.
I don't see a world of me not loving The Rise of Skywalker. It's gonna have to really suck.
The problem is it would have to suck so bad that I then, as a result, don't like any of Star Wars.
Right? I'm either gonna love it or there's gonna be like a jersey burning
See, the thing
where I'm
that
gonna get all
I've
mad money on
concluded
this and be like, sell your Star Wars stock. I'm out.
I've just realized that no matter what happens with this sequel trilogy, is that Star Wars is going to continue on. We're still going to get other things. The reality is that the movies that we originally love still exist, and even if they try to retcon
Right,
something,
but you can still
Fortnite.
up the ending.
well,
They still have a
yes.
chance to
Fortnite.
up
No,
the
no,
ending.
I completely agree. I think they could recontextualize everything to make a lot of the Skywalker story become completely washed. At least if you put a lot of weight into what they say. Like, they could make it where Anakin's sacrifice and Return of the Jedi means nothing. Like, they could do that. They could, make Anakin's fall to the dark side seem something super silly or something weak. Like, there's a lot of iterations where you take something that's very meaningful and very impactful and then wash it away. But I think that even if it tries to wash it away, that I've just come to the fact that I still like Revenge of the Sith. I still like, I like prequel material. I still like the Old Republic. Like, that's part of it is not going away.
And that's the thing is, like, a lot of the big complaint after the prequel trilogy was Darth Vader was supposed to be this, like, super powerful evil creature, and Anakin was this, like, sniveling baby for the prequel trilogy. And I don't feel that way. I think that, there was some shoddy writing and some so-so acting, but I still feel like, Anakin killed a bunch of kids and he killed the Sand People, and he's like a pretty genuinely evil person with a pretty bad temper, and he doesn't seem like a whiny baby to me. But that was the complaint, was that, like, Darth Vader is now not as menacing as he was before because we know that he was this cute kid.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. I think the other thing is like, the reality is that if people are upset with it, they'll continue to contextualize it until they try to heal it a little bit. Like, for example, the exploration of Anakin in the Clone Wars is amazing. Like, that's the Anakin that I think about when I think of prequels Anakin, is Clone Wars Anakin Skywalker, because he's like, he seems so slick. He's so smooth. He's so, like, he seems like the ultimate Jedi in the Clone Wars. So then watching, like, having that point of view going into episode 3, it's just epic watching his transformation.
Right.
But watching the trilogy is not as impactful. But so there's always the reality that could be the case as well for anything that happens in the sequel trilogy, is that, Dave Filoni can just make a series and make it all better.
Yeah, it's not going to work on me. I still haven't seen the Clone Wars.
Hey, I don't think you need to. I would just say when the Disney Plus Clone Wars season 6 comes out, just watch that, man. And if you care about it enough, then just go in reverse order.
But it's the same thing. It's like Stranger Things. Like, we all know Stranger Things is making a season 4. They've announced it, and I'm sitting here like, oh man, you can really still mess this up, guys. Like, you have a big job here.
Well, I mean, yeah.
I think but I do think we have seen, like, in the world of sequel culture where every film gets a sequel, I think we are a lot more forgiving with bad sequels than we used to be.
I don't think we should be, though.
I mean, I don't think necessarily we have to like this bad sequel, but I think that, like, for a long time, a bad sequel made the original bad, and I don't think that that's still the case.
It is for me. If you ruin the story, you can't unruin the story. I'd rather him just leave well enough alone most of the time.
Well, I mean, I guess that's fair, but, like, you can still enjoy the first one. I mean, ideally.
I mean, that's correct,
Yeah.
but I enjoy it less.
Well, and I think, like, a good example would be, maybe, I don't know, I haven't seen it, but I would imagine it's going to be a lot harder for a lot of people to watch all of Game of Thrones again because it ends so poorly.
Oh, I think so. I think that's it deters me from ever watching it again, knowing
It
where it
deters
goes.
me from ever picking it up. Although,
Yeah.
if you've read the books, you know it's obviously going to go to Bran. Like, 90% of the books are about Bran.
I have no dog in this fight.
Yeah, I don't know anything about the books. Or
I
not
didn't.
very
I didn't
much.
hate the ending.
Really?
Not as much as everybody else did. I also like The Last Jedi, man. I'm
The
I'm
Last
cool with
Jedi
this stuff.
is a masterpiece.
It's been regarded about the same way as the season 8 of Game of Thrones.
No, I am deep in Star Wars fandom Twitter right now, and I am in the side that is pro Last Jedi. And man, the Warriors, the Jedi.
I mean, people have started to hate. Like I said, people started to hate Avengers Endgame.
Oh, that was inevitable.
Yeah, it's. I like the way Avengers Endgame ended, man. It's just like
I agree.
I am not asking for the ending that all the fanboys are asking for from Star Wars. I am asking for an ending that doesn't ruin it. That's all I care about. If this movie's at least decent, I'm gonna love it.
See, the main thing I want from it is I just want the Skywalker lineage to have made a positive impact in the galaxy, and that
Yep.
to be the impact that is left after episode 9. That the Skywalkers came into the world, did some insane things, but left the galaxy in a better place.
Better place than it started. And I want them to do that, and I want them to shut the book and throw it away.
I don't know that the galaxy can be in a better place than where it started.
Shut the book and set it on fire.
Alderaan has exploded, guys. I don't know if you remember. Alderaan and like 7 other planets are gone. Thanos couldn't have snapped his fingers and left that be, and the world be a better place. Because to 7 planets, the world doesn't exist anymore.
We got 2 months left. Not even. Month and a half.
They blew planets up, guys.
To all you Vader haters out there, we'll blow your planet up.
But see, it's really not about like the ethics of our world, but the ethics of like the Star Wars world. It's a different game when we're talking about poor Anakin Skywalker. He just wanted to save the twins, man. He just wanted to save Padme from dying.
I'm just gonna start arguing that Spaceballs is part of the Star Wars canon.
Hey, you gotta have clean air.
Plaid.
Love that movie.
Exciting news. We are at wrap time.
All right.
And I normally wouldn't press it because I'm enjoying this Hocus Pocus based conversation. We do have a third podcast to record, and it is 11:30 at night. So we do need to wrap. Hocus Pocus, the podcast.
Let's go ahead and wrap, yeah.
Is this the worst movie we've reviewed this year? Yeah, it's worse than She's the Man.
It's behind She's the Man, 10 Things I Hate About You, and what else did we do?
What did we do last week? No idea.
No idea.
I know the big thing is, though, is it worse than Venom?
I left... No, that's off the table. Zombieland.
We did Zombieland last week.
Yeah, we close the book every year.
Oh, okay.
I do have a new segment, Ethan, where I take a movie from year 1 and a movie from year 2, and I make you choose between the 2 of them.
Well, we'll get to that next week.
Okay.
Oof. Yeah, I haven't seen She's the Man in so long, but I gotta say it's probably worse.
What's probably worse?
This. Hocus Pocus.
Yeah, I would agree, although they're both so bad.
I mean, it's probably no surprise I would rather turn on Hocus Pocus than She's the Man, but...
that is not a dichotomy I would love to be stuck with, is the real thing.
Yeah, I would prefer to be like, well, do you have a copy of Jaws?
Could we just go on YouTube?
Right. I've heard on YouTube you can watch...
I'm gonna watch the new Peter McKinnon short, The Mountains Won't Remember Me.
I'm gonna watch A Far Off Place on YouTube, the whole movie.
Okay, so cool. All right, worst movie ever. What's the breakfast food? What does this taste like?
It tastes freaking nasty, dude. Listen, I don't care if you like this movie or if you dislike this movie. The witches are supposed to be nasty, and therefore it's nasty.
Here's what I think. I feel like it's, you take a glass bowl, you crack some eggs in it, you throw a whole bunch of like caramel corn, you put in the like every little crazy treat with the wrapper on, and then you just bake it. And it's just hard and it's gross and there's like nothing consistent about it. But for a few, it tastes good, but for the grand majority, it's just a burnt mess.
This is the movie. This movie is the feeling you have after you wake up on November 1st and you eat 14 pieces of candy corn for breakfast. And you feel like absolute garbage.
Or you feel good for
because
5
you're
minutes.
26 years old and you can't do that anymore.
I feel like, I'll be honest, what I'm imagining is like a pair of sweaty, nasty, whitey tighties inside of a bowl of uncracked eggs, and then you just hit it with a fork, man. That's where I'm at.
Anyway,
not
Isaac,
uncracked egg, cracked
where
eggs.
can we find you and what's next for you?
So, the best places to find me are YouTube and Instagram at Watso Videos. Those are the places where I post a lot about Disney. I'm talking about theories and characters' backstories and about the magic of Disney. But in addition to those amazing places where I am Watso Videos, you can also find my podcast, Following Dreams, where I recently interviewed Ethan and Tyler, and you can hear about their story of how they're pursuing their dreams.
Hey, when is that episode going up?
It will be up this Friday, the audio version.
Okay, so tomorrow,
If
as
you're
you're listening to this
on release day.
Yes.
Yep. If you're listening to this on release day, tomorrow is Isaac's episode. It's going to be really good. As well as tomorrow, another great thing, I am on an episode of Hello from Elsewhere.
Oh my gosh, so many podcasts for Ethan this week.
Tomorrow. Yep. I'm on an episode of Hello from Elsewhere. That'll be linked in the description as well. And I did an interview with Casey. I almost said Casey Neistat. That would be dope. I did an interview with Casey Winters, the lovely host of Hello from Elsewhere, about my favorite book, American Gods by Neil Gaiman. And it was a delightful conversation in which Casey asked me some very, very hard questions.
That sounds extremely interesting.
It was. You should listen to it. It's going to be a very short, I think like 15, 20-minute episode. Little bite-sized nug.
Ooh.
Anyway, we've got exciting stuff coming soon as well from the Bacon and Eggs Network. But I think we're ready to go ahead and wrap this shindig up. So I'm going to say our graphics are by Vaishon Brandon. Our music is by Andrew Scott Bell. He's been Isaac Carlson. He's been Tyler Carlin. I've been Ethan Edgehill. And until next week, arrivederci.
Cool.
Anderson is just Sanderson without the S.